This is Marcus, and I have with me today MJB, who's going to talk a little bit about himself. The reason I'm going to have him on the training today is that he is also a new user of the Yive platform and the new Yive products, and he is, like many of you, interested in understanding how it could work for him. And I'm sure that's the question that's burning for everybody. So we're going to use MJB as our guinea pig for the training session going forward. So go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your background.
All right, thank you, Marcus, for this opportunity. So I'm happy to introduce myself. I'm Marvin, and I'm based actually in the Caribbean. Almost 40 years old, and at this point of my life, I wanted to get a massive shift in my career, but also in my private life. Looking for location freedom and financial freedom. I understood that all the traditional business model or traditional activity on the world market are very challenging, not only in the Caribbean but also worldwide. I used to live in Europe and I decided to move back to the Caribbean. And I'm absolutely dedicated to uh, the learning process of being successful in the digital marketing world. And I'm very happy to have the opportunity to learn from the best and to take a maximum advantage of the Yav platform.
Okay, so you've heard Marvin's background, and he's told you a little bit about him, and I'm sure there's a lot of you like Marvin who are kind of in the same position, and you want to take advantage of these platforms to actually start making an income, and that's what we're going to talk about here. So first, let's talk about research, discovering your niche, discovering a product. Okay, so in the first webinar I talked about how the importance of your product choice, your niche is going to drive everything else that you're going to do in generating an audience. So I think most people are used to thinking in terms of keywords. Not that keywords are wrong to think about. They're obviously part of the plan, but they're a much smaller part of the plan, because really what we should be thinking about is audiences, what people are interested in. The best platform to find those people is typically Facebook and YouTube. Generally speaking, they have the critical masses of audiences we need to drive the traffic that we want to our offers. The issue is that it can cost money to get, buy clicks from those platforms, and we want to build a system that doesn't require us to buy the clicks, whether it's YouTube or it's Facebook. So, we're going to work on building a system that it's extracting the right audiences from YouTube and Facebook to an offer in your niche. So we got to do some research though before we can just jump in and do that. So let's talk about areas of interest, potential niches. Have you ever promoted a product online before?
No, I never so far had really the opportunity actually to do it efficiently because I think all of us are looking for a blueprint to follow, and that is really effective. So, but it's all about method. We need method, a methodology, and I think this is very key uh, indeed.
Yeah, a methodology is right. You have to have a process you follow. This process will work for just about every niche that's out there, including local lead generation. You just have to be able to think in terms of audience. So for example, in the webinar, I talked about if you're selling a beauty product or a hair product or something like that, or maybe, an information product on how to do hair a certain way or how to do makeup a certain way, whatever the case, your audience is really going to tilt towards people who are looking at celebrities and entertainers, and you have to build a funnel of traffic of people who are interested in those things. It can be hard to get conversions on a product if people aren't looking for it, number one, and number two, if they're not interested in it. So they have to be one or the other. There are certain products that people don't necessarily go looking for, but once you show it to them, they're interested in it. And so when you were trying to align audiences, again, they're not actively looking for it, but if you put it in front of them, it becomes somewhat of an impulse buy. You have to think in terms of, if someone who is in this audience it would see this particular product, they would be interested in buying it. And there's a way to look at that. So, for example, there's impulse buying, which is this product is cheap enough and I can acquire it right now, and you take advantage of that impulse and they buy it right away. So, your products that are under $20 most of the time are impulse buy products, and you'll get pretty good conversions on those. As you get more expensive, you have people who will take a lot more time to convert. And, again, depending on what country your audience is from, what language, their currency they use, that type of thing. So if you're trying to sell a product that's more expensive to your audience, it's going to take more time. It's going to take multiple touches to get them to convert. So you have to think in terms of, what can I offer that is somewhere in the middle or closer to an impulse buy that's going to convert really well. You're much better off converting a lot of people on a cheaper product than trying to convert one or two people on a really expensive product when you don't have a sophisticated follow-up process. So I sell a lot of high ticket types of products for my clients, and I can tell you that my follow-up funnels are extremely sophisticated because it takes 5, 7, sometimes 14 touches before they will convert, and you have to stay in front of people. If you're trying to build your web network with the dependency that you're going to sell a high ticket product, it's not that it can't work. It's just that you might only get 1 or 2 or 3 conversions a month without a really sophisticated follow-up process, which you can do with retargeting. You can do a multi-level retargeting and things like that. That's kind of advanced training. We probably don't want to talk about that today, or in the first kind of network you're setting up. But at some point in time, we will get into retargeting because it's a cheap way to stay in front of people if they're not on your email list. So let's talk. Since you haven't really promoted anything, you don't really have any kind of niche in mind, that type of thing.
Indeed. It's very challenging for a newbie to find the right niche, despite our interest. But we're all looking for a profitable niche. But if it can be something that we can passionate about, that will be great.
Sure.
But we're looking for passionate.
So I'm going to burst everybody's bubble here a little bit in that you don't need to be passionate about the niche, because as you expand, when you have your first successful network set up that's making money, you're going to expand. And it's going to be hard to be passionate about everything, that every network you're building, every income stream you set up. It's hard. And actually the problem that holds a lot of people back is they go for this passion thing, and I think it works for some people, but it doesn't work for other people. And there's a certain amount of, if you're passionate about it, you stick with something that doesn't work for too long, as opposed to just looking at the data and saying, hey, this doesn't work, I need a different niche. Or it works, but if I improve this, I can do better with it, right? So I don't always go from the passion angle in trying to pick a niche, because, to me, it kind of clouds your thinking a little bit. So what I like to look at, and really kind of the thing that most people, I think, forget to look at, is what is trending, what's popular for the current time. So I'm going to bring up, and there's lots of ways to find trends, but I'm going to use the most basic tool, and this is, things that are um, coming up in Google Trends. So let me pull that up.
This conference will now be recorded.
So I wanted to bring up here the Google Trends search page. A lot of people know about this. Some people don't, so we're bringing it up. But it's important to get a kind of a bird's eye view of what is trending in various places in the world. So I know, for example, they have these examples like Taylor Swift, Kim Kardashian, the World Cup, American football and regular football, meaning, I guess, American soccer. And then, a popular news item right now in the U.S., it is the Georgia Senate runoff races and coronavirus trends. And basically, you can type in this box and come up with trends. And you can also look down here for trending searches. And I like to click on this recently trending. Daily search trends, and then there's real time. Right now, because of the election stuff going on, it's kind of dominating the news right now. You can select other countries, though, if you want to look outside the U.S. And you look at these different items that are popping up here. And how much search volume there is. Again, this is mostly political right now. So we can go back. You can get an RSS feed delivered to your email every day of popular trends. So I'm sorry, you have an RSS feed, which you can put in an RSS reader, or you can put in an email address and have these delivered to you every day. Of course, as we get further away from the election, this information will mostly change. So I'm trying to get back here to the trends homepage so we can start with an example. It's probably not the best day to be looking because it's so dominated by political, but we can look at other things. So let's, before we jump into Google Trends, though, since we're primarily going to be looking at social traffic is how we want to get people into our network. Let's pop over and look at Facebook. So I need to share that screen. Okay, can you see this screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So this is a tool within Facebook. The URL is facebook.com/business/insights/tools/hot-topics. It's up here. So what I like about this tool is it's fairly interactive. You can break it down by a lot of different things. So lets you look at Facebook and Instagram. It lets you look at numerous countries. Lets you look at particular months. So right now it's only up through September. That's the one downside to this, is this doesn't always update that quickly. And I'm just trying to find out. Let's see if we hit fuel creativity. I think, yeah, this is all about their ads and things like that. So we'll go back. They'll load the data up. So there's these general categories, and for the most part, this should give you some concept of a lot of what's popular and important in Facebook. So food and drink, sports, people and culture, entertainment, brands and products, holidays and events. So these are the things that are kind of popular, at least in September 2020. this was popular information. So, for example, American Horror Story came out in September, the new season. And I think Karate Kid came out before that. I think if you look at December, you would see things like The Mandalorian, that type of thing, showing up here. So that's under entertainment, people and culture. Ruth Bader Ginsburg had died, so of course, she was trending very high at that time. Football season had started, the American football season started in the United States, and these were the popular topics at the time. And, you can look across categories here, and you can see if you click on any one of these. So, so what it's saying here is across categories basically means that there are people with a wide variety of interests who are searching for Ruth Bader Ginsburg information. Same with Labor Day, and same with the NFL. And I think that would be typically true. It's not a lot that you need to do as far as that information goes, but what you can do is when you're searching within the category, you can click on an item here and you can look at its popularity trend. You can look over historical trends and you can see, its popularity comes when it's new season's released, for example. Obviously it will be more popular. When there's information about the show, it becomes more popular. How's that break down? Men and women. Here's the age group that breaks down, that type of thing. So, you have to, and then you can compare. So you can look at popular products and brands, that type of thing, in comparison, which, I think you would typically do if they were in the same, for example, Criminal Minds versus American Horror Story, that type of thing. So we would have to build an audience in Facebook to kind of get a deeper understanding of what those people like. So in other words, American Horror Story, what we see here is it's, mostly women. If you look at Criminal Minds, it's mostly women, right? So we know, and then gender-wise or age-wise, you can see how that breaks down. The trend tends to be younger, right? And then there's associated topics down here. So you could see that people like American Horror Story, Grey's Anatomy, Pretty Little Liars, and Vampire Diaries, they kind of lump together. But same here. Over here, you'll see that there's some crossover from Criminal Minds to American Horror Story. But over here on American Horror Story, Pretty Little Liars is has more affinity with American Horror Story than Criminal Minds does. So, you can get some ideas of what other interests are of these similar groups. So that being said, we still don't have a niche. We're just looking at trending information right now, at least in September 2020. And of course, this will change. So
This conference will now be recorded.
So basically, this tool is good for determining what kinds of things are popular. Once this data updates for December, which you should be doing any day now, then you'll have the last quarter of data to look at. There's also this Audience Insights tool, which they used to allow basically for you to look at the audiences of certain pages. Now it's only people connected or not connected to your own pages, which is a loss. But you can also play around with certain other statuses, leave your pages unchecked. You can add interests, which are general categories, which used to be more specific. So for example, you could type in, Mandalorian. So like you could type that in, and that comes up Mandalorian. Looks like a specific page. and it doesn't seem to be coming up here. So we can look at, I'll type in NFL. So we can go and click on that. And this is employers, if you'll notice. This is not audience, this is employers. I'm not sure why they would list that there. But then there's the movie Soul that came out. And then there's these brands that you could see under here. So you could use these as well. So I could add that. And I would delete that. I would delete that. So, you know, there's these, if I go ahead and delete that, you can try to see if there's opportunities that show up by typing in certain types of keywords, generally within entertainment. So, you know, I'm going to go ahead and type in Taylor Swift here as an example. And if I click on that, then what I'll see here, if I click on page likes, first of all, total audience is 3 million to 3.5 million. The page likes for Taylor Swift, and I have no other status information selected. I do have age 25 to 35. So if I lower that to the age of 18, then I'll get page likes here of things like Sharpie, Flow from Progressive, Duct Tape, Freeform TV Network, Chapstick, Sprite, Glow Sticks, Pringles, Trident, Ben & Jerry's, Slurpee, CoverGirl. There's a makeup brand right there. Food and beverage, Lifesavers, Pop-Tarts, clothing brands, Wet Seal, Hot Topic, American Eagle, Victoria's Secret. I would imagine as you change these age categories that these interests would change. So if I come over here and I go to, let's say, age 35, and I go up to 45, you can see these items change. So age is important. So when you are looking at your niche, you're looking at, okay, what age group in my niche am I talking men? And it would show men 35 to 45 who like Taylor Swift. These are the other pages they like. So these are beers, NFL, Captain Morgan, Jack Daniels, Kevin Smith, the comedian. And you can go through and you can see things that they're affiliated with. So if you're looking from the standpoint of people who like Taylor Swift, what else do they like? How do you cheaply bring in those people to your Taylor Swift group, for example? This would be a tool to help you find what those other audiences are and what those people like. This also helps you if you are going to focus in on a niche and you're trying to get more information. What kind of products do they buy? And if you can determine what kind of products they buy, you can also look for affiliate programs that you know that they're going to take advantage of. So, for example, if I switch to women, 35 to 45, and I'm looking at products, well, Pampers, Crayola, Honest Company, Beachbody. Beachbody probably has a program, like an affiliate program for weight loss. And you know that women 35 to 45 who like Taylor Swift are interested in Beachbody. And so anyway, that's just an idea how this tool works. Do you have any questions on that so far?
No, I understand clearly. So it's a way starting from the interest, global interest, like a superstar like Taylor Swift. We can, according to the profile of the followers, we can find to the bottom which product that they like, and find the affiliate link for this product. So if we can build a page towards that will target this audience, we can promote this affiliate link directly to them. Is it right?
You're getting close, yeah. So basically the idea is if we're going to build a Taylor Swift fan page, we've got to figure out, okay, we're going to bring that audience into a Taylor Swift group. What are the things that they're going to be interested, right? So we have to play around with our age. and we have to think in terms of the content that we're going to deliver to those people. Obviously, it's going to be Taylor Swift content, but we also want to be able to show them content that relates to things they like. So if occasionally you did a post on Candace Cameron in that group as well, they're going to be interested in that. So it helps you also find content that's related that they're going to be interested in. Coupon Divas is another one. I don't know if they have an affiliate program or not. I don't think so. I think they're a show. Etsy is another thing they're interested in. So yes, you're looking for ideas and opportunities that tie together with what somebody is interested in, and you have to play around with it. So we still got to talk about a niche, and how do we figure out what kind of niche you want to promote, and you have to think in terms of product. So can we get an impulse buy product, that type of thing. So most people, one of the big questions I get from people is, how do I get approved in affiliate programs if I don't have a site, that type of thing. Well, sometimes it's putting the cart before the horse. Most of the time you do have to have a site set up, at least to be taken seriously in certain affiliate programs you really want to join. So we have to put some things in place first. So let's talk about getting serious about our niche, what's going to be interesting to us, that type of thing. So I went over to ClickBank because that seems to be that seems to be the network that most people seem to be able to get approved in. So let me get back over to that. So I'm over in ClickBank. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So I've been thinking in terms of what's a niche idea and to save us time. A huge trending topic right now is things like tiny homes, green living or simplified living, homesteading, living off grid. These are things that there's a lot of people who are looking into kind of minimizing their life. Are you familiar with that, Marvin?
Oh, yeah, I'm surprised that you say that because I'm interested in tiny houses, alternative construction, so I clearly understand.
Yeah, so I'm the funny thing is the older I get, the less stuff I want, and I want to actually minimize my life. There's too much stuff in my life. So I do a lot of looking at things like tiny homes, and when I look at tiny homes, though, I'm looking at something as far as like something as a cabin up in the woods. I live in Pennsylvania, and we have a lot of really nice cabin territory up in northern Pennsylvania. And from my perspective, I do a lot of research. So if I wanted to actually have something like that, I'd want something small, and I'd want to be able to make it completely off the grid. So solar, electric, and possibly propane backup, and source my own water and handle my own waste, things like that. Also growing your own food, that kind of stuff, where you are able to minimize your reliance on the outside world. And that's a movement, and that's popular. So the question for me, though, is, okay, yeah, there's a lot of people who are interested in that, and there's a lot of ways to bring people into content, with content to my site, but what is it that they would actually buy from me? So I went into the green products category in the marketplace, of course, and if you remember, the menu's over here, and there's things like alternative energy, conservation and efficiency, that kind of stuff. So whenever I go into ClickBank, I'm always sorting things by gravity. I didn't use a keyword search. I'm actually looking at the entire category for green products, and I'm sorting by gravity. So what am I looking at from a gravity standpoint? Well, this new battery reconditioning course, it's a video sales letter. It's $2.01, or I'm sorry, $2.10 earnings per click, which is a fairly good number. essentially well-targeted traffic will convert at about 9.7%, according to this seller. That may or may not be true with our traffic since it's social, but if we have the right traffic, people who are interested in understanding how to recondition batteries, because they will rely on batteries and rely on solar. That's an option. And there's this solar panel project. So this is a video guide on building a solar panel system. This one is also same thing. Now, you're saying, you look at this and you're saying, okay, well, the gravity is much higher on this one than these two, but we don't know who's specifically promoting it. But we're saying, all right, we got 3 products with decent gravity. There's another 4th solar system. There's a power efficiency guide. And this one talks about it works on energy, solar, garden, woodworking, survival lists. So some people call this stuff kind of prepper is kind of the term they use. Survivalist is kind of the term they use. And these are good trends to try to check as well. So we know we have a series of products that we could promote to that audience, and we could split test them, meaning we could, on our sites, we could actually link to several of these offers, and we can obviously track which offers we're getting clicks on and which ones are actually converting when we look inside of ClickBank. So we know there's some offers here that can convert on that traffic. I just happen to know, because I belong to Commission Junction, that there's lots of other vendors out there that sell things like not green energy, but prepper and tactical gear and survivalist gear and things like that. And then there's homesteading products, things like that. So you have your prepper audience, and then you also have your homesteading audience, which isn't necessarily a prepper audience, but and then you have your tiny home audience, which is kind of a group off to its own. Maybe they're not necessarily preppers, but they are thinking of living smaller and living off grid, that type of thing. The thing about those audiences is they're always learning. There's a lot of forgotten information about living on the frontier that they like to learn. There's a lot of things about doing do-it-yourself type of education products that they want to read. And so information products are going to convert well with this audience. So it takes, once you have kind of an area you want to go after, you have to find a product that you think they would be interested in and would convert. The thing I like about this audience is, tiny home audience tends to be a little younger. The survivalist and prepper audience tends to be a little bit older. But let's go ahead and take a look in our Facebook tool and see what comes up when we look at our prepper audiences. So I'm going to switch over here. So can you see my Facebook screen?
Yeah, clearly.
Okay, great. So I'm going to get rid of some of these age parameters to start with. I'm going to go, I'm doing 18 to 60. I'm going to do all. I'm going to get rid of Taylor Swift. I don't think I have any other. I do have United States as my region. You can, of course, change that if that's something you would want to do. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to start with tiny home, see what comes up. Nope. There's Tiny House Nation. So let's click on that. All right, so let's look at demographics. Right, so we're looking here, 45 to 50,000 people. Now, the one problem we might run into is this problem here, which is that our page likes and categories come up blank. That's because it's not a huge audience, so we might want to add to that. It's only a little bit bigger. All right, so now we got our audience up to about 80, 90,000 people. And now it populates our page likes here. So just keep in mind the size of your audience may dictate whether or not it's going to show you page like. So in page likes, you can look and you can see what are the other pages they like. So it seems since we're focused on tiny house and that's very specific, you can see that it's mostly tiny house type of stuff, and also old houses. Etsy shows up again. Recipes, cooking. So it's important for people to be able to cook off grid. So that's going to be interesting to them. Things like Dollar Shave Club. Now, I would not have thought of that, but Dollar Shave Club could be something. Again, if they have an affiliate program that you might want to be able to put on your web network pages, or do an occasional promo for an offer they have in one of your groups. Traditional medicines. This is interesting because on ClickBank they actually have some info products that are traditional medicine. And then things, this has Amazon handmade. So any type of handmade product that you know, or store that sells handmade products would be something that you would be, that this audience would be interested, and that you could promote on your sites. So this is where you would begin kind of doing research on other products outside of ClickBank where you would be able to promote products. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add survivalist. Let's go ahead and, there's homesteading and survivalism. And our audience really shot up there. So if I wanted to get rid of the tiny house information, I would just click out of these, but I'm going to keep them in here just to see where there's crossover. So Baker Creek Heirloom Seed Company, I've never heard of them, don't know who they are, but I would check to see if they have an affiliate program. Blogs like the Prairie Homestead, a little hippie, a little hood, I'm not sure what that is, but sounds like they might have a popular page in the homesteading community. Recycled, repurposed, reused, reclaimed, restored. That's interesting. And if you can find info products on how to recycle and repurpose things, if you can find affiliate programs on log home plans, you can start seeing the types of things that are going to be interesting to people, as far as, how to target them for products and things. So do you follow that so far?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a lot of things we hear about survivalism and homesteading and tiny homes. We don't necessarily know what those audiences actually do, so we go and we look at the data and we say, okay, well, let's find out what they're actually interested. So let's take a look at location, just to see if there's anything that pops up there. And we'll wait for that to load. And it loads nothing. So let's go to demographics. So this topic is far more attractive to women than men, which would be the opposite. Now, tiny homes, I think, are a lot more popular with women than men, but homesteading and survivalism, I would have thought, and that's the major section of this, major segment of this audience is the homesteading and survivalism, but still it's only 31% men. So you have to keep that in mind as well. Try to gear what you're offering towards women. Relationship status, most of them are married. Most of them have college degrees. So you keep that info in mind. You can look at the types of jobs they have. And, it's going to give you some idea of background. So administrative services and management. So these people would tend to be white collar or work within offices. I don't know necessarily that makes a difference, but if you had something that was outsized like veterans or law enforcement, that could make a big difference in what types of things you offer. Let's see if location loads anything. Let's see if activity loads anything. So how active are they on Facebook? You click on a lot of ads, which is good. And these are the devices that they tend to use, a lot of iPhone and iPad, a lot of mobile only. So you want to think in terms of the visitors that are coming to your site and going to see your offers. A lot of them are going to do it from mobile devices. Less than 1% of this audience only uses a computer. So you have 45 that uses a desktop and mobile, and 54 that's mobile only. So you have to think in terms of when they come to your site and they're looking at an offer, the page is mobile friendly because that's what most of their devices are going to be. All right, so I think that's all we can really glean from this. But do you find this helpful in trying to find a product?
Indeed, it's very efficient. I mean, of course, for Facebook has all the data, the best data about the profile and the interest regarding the audience that we are looking for. So it's very interesting. In my mind, it's totally different because it's like a reverse process. We will always, I think the newbies are always looking for, a product to sell, an affiliate link. And then they try to find the audience and they don't have much information about it. So starting the other way, start with the audience and try to, I would say, scroll down to know what relates to them and find a product that you can promote directly to them. This is a much more efficient way, I guess. So
correct. Exactly. So, for example, I assumed, when we were looking at those insights that we would see things like solar as being popular, but I didn't see that. So I may go back and look at ClickBank and say, okay, what are some other things I can look at? I can go to, health and fitness. I can look. There's a book of lost remedies, which is, I think, something that I think would appeal because we saw the medicinal interests that were in that. So there's the remedies category that you can look at, and we can sort by gravity. And the Lost Book of Remedies is actually up here with high gravity. So that could be a ClickBank product you promote to that audience as well. So so you could spend your time looking at this. What I want to do is get a little bit into what our strategy is going to be, what it's going to look like as far as driving traffic for these audiences. So what I'm going to do is I have this Lucid Chart system, which is plugged into my Google account. It's a Google app. You can add it, but you don't have to use this. There's, I think, Goggle and some others that are free. You don't even have to use a tool like this. You could use pencil and paper to do your diagram as well. So what I'm going to do is I like to start with this, which, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, all right, I have my Facebook group or Facebook page. So I'm going to start with a Facebook page, and the point of that page is to create a cheap and efficient way to build my Facebook group, because the Facebook group is where I'm going to be posting my content. Now, we're also going to post it on our Facebook page. But group content is typically shown a lot more frequently than page content to your audience. So even though our content is going to get posted to a Facebook page, and then we're going to use that posting to promote in our Facebook group, Really, our group is what we're going to be sending our traffic to. So as people are added to our Facebook page, we want to invite them to join our Facebook group, and that's easy as clicking a button. That's one thing you can go in and do once a day is click to invite your Facebook page people to like your Facebook group. So all your new page like people, you would invite that. You would also pin a post on your page that says, hey, we have a Facebook group. You should join our Facebook group. So you want to proactively be pushing people to your Facebook group. And so we're going to start with a simple diagram that, so we're going to, in this particular case, I'm going to start a Facebook page, and it's going to be about, I'm going to go with homesteading. That's a larger audience, right? And I don't have to have a name for it right now, but that's going to be the objective of my group, or my page and my group here. Excuse me. So I'm going to have both a Facebook page on homesteading and a Facebook group on homesteading. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my first network site. And this network site is going to be a homesteading blog. Okay. Then I'm going to create a homesteading video site. Now, you might be saying, well, why do we have to have two sites? Well, technically, you don't have to have two sites. You can put videos in on your blog if you want. But I'm trying to create a network of distinct audiences. So, example, on my video site, I might end up feeding these videos to multiple groups, not just this one. And I don't necessarily want all of my homesteading blog going to multiple groups. So this is a good way to separate, your video feeds from your blog feeds and making sure they're going to the right place. And, frankly, you can test video audiences may convert better on product A versus your blog audience, which may convert better on product B. So we're going to be doing some things. We're going to be sending traffic to our homesteading blog from our group, and we're going to be also sending it to our homesteading video site from our group. And then we might want something that is more news or magazine oriented. So we'll create another type of site, and I'm going to call that homesteading magazines site. Now, again, you might ask the question, well, why do I need a separate magazine site? Well, the objective here is that you have different styles of content, and you have people who like to consume different types of content. So you have a lot of content diversity between these groups, and you'll also be able to feed, using RSS, be able to feed this content to multiple groups. So we're going to be promoting all three of these sites in this group. Okay, so now I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, now homesteading, but I might want to actually, because homesteading and survivalism, according to that Facebook insight we were just looking at, are very similar. I might combine the content, but I also might say, you know what, I have a survivalist product that's very different from homesteading. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a survivalist blog. And then I may say, okay, well, you know what, since I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I don't necessarily want to use the same group to promote survivalism, I'm going to do a separate page for this. And then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to create a group for this as well. Okay, so now, again, I'm linking these two. And I'm directly linking this. Okay, so we know we have this straight up relationship here. Now, I might say, in the homesteading video site, I'm also going to feed some of that content to my Facebook group. And so it also may go to this homesteading site. And occasionally some of my homesteading magazine site articles could be posted to the survivalist group as well. So you start to see how your network starts to interconnect, right? You don't have to duplicate all these things. They might share content, but you might want to have a hardcore survivalist blog as opposed to something that might fit better with homesteading. So you would create that separately. But you can still feed the content to these sites to multiple groups. And we'll be doing that with RSS. So you follow me so far?
Yeah, very powerful.
Okay. So the concept regarding monetization is that obviously you can post offers on your group. You can post them on your page. And obviously you're going to be posting them on your own site. But your offers might change between these different destinations. So you're able to quickly test offers that are working with certain audiences and optimize the monetization you have from that audience. Now, the other thing you want to do in this particular case is build an email list. You want people to subscribe to get updates. So you are going to have a homesteading email list. So let's name that. Right? So this site feeds that, this site feeds that. This site feeds that. So now you have 3 sites feeding the same homesteading email list. So now we're going to come over here under our survivalist blog and we're going to have a separate email list. Right? And so that site feeds that. Now, as you add multiple sites to your network, you choose which of these sites are going to feed your email list. We'll get into things like adding Facebook pixels to these to build audience so you can look at the audience insight data, and we'll have a separate training on audience insight data, which will help you fine-tune the people you're adding to your pages. So your top of the funnel right now is you have a Facebook page for homesteading, and you have a separate one for survivalist, and you're going to feed groups, and then these groups are where your content is going to be broadcast. So let's talk about content broadcasting. So number one, your email, and I got the hat tip to Damon Nelson. It's a great tip. Rasa.io is an email service that lets you convert the RSS feeds of all these sites into emails. So it will automatically email your latest content from your sites to your subscribers without you having to create an email for it. Now I can do that with ActiveCampaign. ActiveCampaign's expensive for most people. I have an agency version, so I don't advertise that because I think it's just pricing wise out there for some people. But Rasa.io has a free setup. So when you have a certain minimum number of people, I think it's less than 2,000 people, you have a free account. And then as you grow that list, then I think you have to pay for it. But that's a great way for you to, again, automate getting content to your email list. So you'll have a subscribe box on all these sites for people to get updates from these sites. And remember, this is all content that's on these sites. And rather than them have to come to the site every day, they get it emailed to them and they're reminded, hey, come read this article or this article, and they can pick and choose, and you can bring them back more consistently. You're not always relying on all your traffic coming from the group. So you're advertising your affiliate products on the blog and on the video site and the homesteading magazine. You're advertising them to your email list as well. So the RSS feed for your blog, your video site, your magazine site, for example, just, and this is just part of our network, each of these RSS feeds are really important. And those RSS feeds, as we said, number one, will be able to send content to your email list, but they're also going to be able to send content to your Facebook page and your Facebook group. So in the beginning, before your sites are set up, you can be building your Facebook page and your Facebook group with third-party content using their RSS feeds. So what will happen is you'll research RSS feeds or content sources about this topic, and you'll find 4 or 5 RSS feeds, as many as 10 RSS feeds. And we set them up with within a free account at Zapier to actually post that content to the Facebook page, and then post any update to your Facebook page to your Facebook group. So that's the little workaround to get your RSS feed to post to the group by posting it to the page first.
Okay.
So what ends up happening is we create this loop. In the beginning, you have to prime the pump and grow the group with third-party content, which eventually you then add to your site. So your sites will be essentially a collection of syndicated content from other third-party sites about homesteading that you're then using RSS to repost to your group. And when they click the link in the group and on the page to visit the article, they end up on your site and where they read the article, and it will be full text version of the article on the site. So you follow that loop, how that loop works?
Great. I understand.
Okay. So the main point here is that by using RSS to add content to each of these sites here, it's adding content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So you might not want to post more than 3 to 5 things a day on each of these sites across multiple feeds, and then re-syndicate them to your group so that traffic is coming back to your pages. So that's not you personally writing all that content, that's using syndication. And then using syndication again to send it to your groups, which then drive the traffic back to your site. So now you created a traffic loop using syndicated content. That should drive your email list. It should drive clicks from your blog to the products you're promoting. So, and do you have any questions on that?
No, it's clear. So understand we have to find the RSS feed.
Correct.
And send it specific to the niche homesteading in that case. Mm-hmm. A maximum of 10, right? A maximum of 10.
I would say 5 to 10 would be what you want. Go ahead.
All right, 5 to 10, and then we will syndicate those RSS feeds directly to the Facebook page and group, and mm-hmm. also we on the different sites. So because we understand that our audience consume different type of information, so we need some diversity. That's why we have the blog, the video sites, and magazine sites, mm-hmm. and that will enable us at the end to build our own email list, right? Mm-hmm. Which is a very important asset. Correct. Because we'll be able to drive to promote product directly to our subscribers. Is it correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So we also will be adding things like Twitter. Mm-hmm. So with Twitter, we use hashtags to grow our followers. So we'll be auto posting our content from our blog, video site, magazine site to Twitter, and we might have multiple Twitter accounts, and which we're re-syndicating this content to Twitter, and we're using hashtags to attract people who are searching on Twitter, and those people would click from Twitter and end up back on our site. So it's the same loop we're building in Facebook. We build it on Twitter as well. Other users asked about Pinterest, LinkedIn, Instagram. Instagram doesn't provide direct linking, but you can certainly post content to Instagram to attract people to follow your account and follow your brand. Now, we haven't developed our brand yet. All we've done is really set up and looked at what our strategy is going to be. So here's the assignment before our next meeting. So number one, you got to come up with a brand name for a homesteading site or a series of homesteading sites. Okay? You can come up with one brand, or you can come up with a couple of brand names.
Yeah.
Okay? Because we're going to use them when we name things, but we're also going to include keywords when we name our social accounts. But we want to set up a brand, so we want it to become a destination site. So, we got to come up with 1, 2, or 3 brand names within the homesteading niche for our destination sites here. Same with survivalist. Okay. Then you'll need to come up with 5 to 10 RSS feeds that are homesteading or survivalist, or I should say, and survivalist. You need them for both. Some RSS feeds will be video channels on YouTube, and some will be blogs from around the web. Some will be news and information sites. So you got to be consistent looking at sources that are constantly talking about homesteading, and then the same thing for survivalist. All right. So you want to make a spreadsheet and just put the URLs of their RSS feeds, or at least the sites that you're interested in, because we will have an opportunity to build an RSS feed if one does not exist. So we're integrating a tool with our system that will allow that. The old tool I used to use that did that was taken down in November, so we've had to adapt, so to speak. So sites that you think would be interesting to re-syndicate their content, you want to find their RSS feeds. Building your own RSS feed, there are people who are going to be concerned about that because, when content's in an RSS feed, that's essentially permission to syndicate content. Building your own RSS feed, depending on the circumstance, that could cause issues. But generally, most sites have an RSS feed. It just can be difficult to find it. There's a Chrome tool that allows you to go to a site. You click the button and it tells you what the RSS feed is. So, you can also install that tool in Chrome and be able to find those RSS feeds quickly. Those of you who have RSS Masher, they have a course in there about finding RSS feeds, RSS directories. You can follow that course. There's tons of videos on YouTube about finding RSS feeds. So do a little bit of homework. You're going to want to try to find your RSS feeds that you want to use for this. And they can be video feeds or site feeds, either one from that respect. So do you have any questions on that assignment?
Perfect. Just wondering, sometimes it could be challenging, I guess, for the brand name. Is there some tips about how to find brand name? Because it has to be related to the keyword, or I don't know.
Well, the best way to do that is to visit other sites that are in the niche and look at the words they use, and then try to come up with a clever name using some of those words. That's really the best way, because that means when somebody sees that word, they kind of know what it means, and so they immediately can associate that with your brand,
Okay.
and know what your brand is about.
Okay, perfect. And now, so understand the homework. And do we have to build the Facebook page and Facebook group as well?
We're going to do that in another session, but if you want to get started on that, go for it.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah, perfect. It's very
All
powerful.
right. So that's going to be completion of our session today. Once you've done those, you can send me a message, and we'll set up a meeting to continue.
All right. Thank you, Marcus. I'll be on it for sure.
All right, great. You have a
Thank you.
good one. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.